Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on March 6, 2022 at approximately 9:29 a.m. PST. Well, guess what? First year anniversary. 1 year ago today, I started recording the journey. I managed to do a recording just about every day. There's been a few that have been missed. But I am very pleased to announce two major factors. Okay, just a real quick note. We just yesterday broke the 200 mark on our subscribers, which is, I realize, very small for when you look at it in the big scheme, in the greater scheme of things. But for me, it was a milestone. Now I set my next marker and watch for that one, which I'm thinking I'm probably going to look at 250, which could be a few months down the road. Hopefully not, because I returned to this world for one reason, one primary reason, and that is to pass on a simple message to everyone in existence. Working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, when I started doing this when I started recording the journey, okay, it took probably close to 6 months of people from Spaced Out Radio, spacedoutradio.com, to convince me, if you will, by the amount of requests, to start recording the journey. Okay. Now, with that in mind, I cannot thank them enough. It was funny, I was on the show. I'm always on Spaced Out Radio the first Friday of every month. Okay. And I got told in very direct terms just on Friday past here, that my show is going to continue at least for the foreseeable future. Okay. So I'm not looking at leaving that anytime soon. And with that in mind, anybody that wants me to come onto their show, as a speaker, or for that matter, when borders open up or when travel permits itself, to come and speak live at a conference, I'm quite willing to do so. Transportation for me and getting lost is an easy trick, but the important factor is it will revolve around the time I've got available, like when I've got scheduled bookings and what have you. All of that revolves around my commitment to Spaced Out Radio. So if you want me on your show as a speaker, as a guest, I'm quite willing to work something out with you. But the first Friday of every month is just, I won't be there, because Spaced Out Radio is where I will be. Now, when I started this whole journey a year ago, I didn't know which way I was going to go with it. How do you get people started? What do you deal with? Well, the reality is I've gone all over the place on things, and I'm still working on certain parts of them. Okay. But it boils down to this. We have to take a look in the mirror. The first place to start making a change in the way the world is running is look in the mirror, look at what you're doing, and ask yourself, are you content with the way your life is going, with the way you're handling things? I'm very content to say that now with the journey, I am now looking at it going, I've been here for a year. I'm a lot more, in my eyes, I'm a lot more comfortable than what I was. Okay. When I first started out. So I've got the journey going on. I've got the videos that I do, and I will be getting more involved in getting more of that information out regarding races of the world. And I've just started, which I should have started a long time ago. I've just started a new video series, still on this channel, called Yldrbac Concept, which really boils down to the evolution and the ongoing writings of the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay. Now, the reason I talk about the books that I'm writing is because they are the easiest way for me to demonstrate how getting things organized, how you can turn your life back to where you desire it to be. Now, the reality is, with this being our 1 year anniversary, okay, I'm really happy with the fact it's been good that I've managed to go on for so long, and in all of that time that I can recall, I've only had 2 comments that were really negative, and they weren't even really that negative. Most of the people that have made comments or have asked questions have done so in a very positive fashion. And I just do not recall the words to thank you enough. Some of you have been with me since the beginning. Okay, same as some of the listeners on Spaced Out Radio have been there since the beginning. Okay, since I first got on. And that was an interesting challenge itself. So now what I'm going to be looking at is expanding on things a little more, but it still boils down to this. Okay, I only promote 3 laws. But if you compare these 3 laws to any guidelines you're using, whether they're legal, religious, spiritual, parental, it doesn't matter. Even if it's a support group, take a look at the laws, at the guidelines you're working with, and compare them to these 3. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, now if you like the video, absolutely subscribe to the channel. Okay, give us a thumbs up if you like it, because apparently the thumbs up, as it turns out, apparently that has something to do with the diagnostics on the YouTube channel. I don't know much about marketing, so I'm working my way through that. Okay, but one of the biggest factors to becoming successful, okay, to getting the energy in your world working in the right direction. First rule, take a look in your own heart and ask yourself, are you content with the way your life is going? For me, there's a couple of things that I've got to say I'm very content with at this point. Okay, and those are, I just hit the 1 year anniversary. At the same time as I hit the 1 year anniversary, I hit the 200 subscriptions mark. Tiny mark compared to some people. Okay, for me, it was a milestone, and one I intend on keeping on growing, because I know this is going to be a long haul. But the fact that the journey is still going and I'm still getting positive responses from it does encourage me to carry on. Okay, second thing that I'm content with is I am still dropping the weight. Last week I didn't drop much, 0.2 pounds. But hey, I'm still dropping, and that is the thing. Whenever you're aiming at any goal, take a look at the goal and make certain that you are acknowledging in your own right where the successes are. I'm aiming at breaking 200 pounds this year. Well, I'm down to 207.2. And that continual drop really makes it easier. Okay, so I'm really content with that. While my weight is dropping, my blood pressure is running reasonably normal. Okay, it's a little low some days, a little high some days, but what the heck. Okay, but my finances are on a steady climb. Now, last month, as it turns out, I had a little bit of a setback, but nothing serious. This month, I've already pushed over my limit, over my minimums. So, I'm quite content. There were a couple of things that caused that drop, so my finances are climbing. And the real thing that you got to look at here, like this is just, yes, I'm talking about the successes that I've run into, but the hope is that you're looking at these and going, okay, where have I made it? Are your finances where they should be? Now, the thing is, I gave up on a lot of the so-called professionals. And the reason being, as it turns out, the more I come to understand of this world, the more I realize that the professionals don't know as much as they claim to most of the time. Now, I myself Some people have said I'm an expert in UFO races and technologies. Myself, I don't buy it. I am a specialist. Do not get me wrong on that. Okay. But I've spent my life starting when I was born, but it became public knowledge when I hit 10 years of age. Dealing with consulting with people on relationships, business, UFO and alien and ancient races interactions, okay, and their cultures. These are things that I just plain normally deal with. Plus, I'm a published author in 5 different genres. Every book that I've got published, okay, that is out for grabs, I've got in stock. Which reminds me, I do have to order more. My one booklet that I wrote, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, which really is the backbone to how I got to where I am today. It does not tell you how to make $1 million because I've never hit that point. In time, I will eventually get there. But for the moment, it's one step at a time. Okay. Now, I do have a special message for all of you who are either, quite frankly, under 20, or you've got children coming up that are under 20. There is a massive misconception that people have to have that it's a good thing to have your life in order, have an idea what career you desire to do, how you desire to contribute to society to make a living by the time you're 20. Well, here's the thing. In my experience, with over 80,000 clients under my belt, I have found that people, male or female, don't usually have much of a clue of what they'd like to be doing until they get into their late 40s, early 50s. Okay. With this in mind, it was my late 40s when I finally pieced it together that this is what I desire to do. Okay, here we are in 2022. The first book, The Birth of the Wolfpack, which was started, where the storyline was started in 1976. 1976? No, 1970. Well, I'd have been 15. 1978 is when I wrote the original storyline. And here I am at 58. I've got 2 of the books out, and I'm working on the third. Which brings me to the issue of why I'm doing this Yldrbac concepts. Okay, because now, and they're just real short ones. Okay, but the idea is to get into the habit of bringing the visibility and the viability of these novels up and running. If it makes a lot of money, that's great. Okay, all I'm looking for at this point is to take this effort and turn it into a viable replacement income, so that when I do get around to retiring, I've still got something to focus on. Because, if you think about it, many of you people that have retired already or are on the verge, one of the complaints that I hear from a lot of people that have retired is, I don't know what to do now. I am flat out refusing to be in that boat. This is one of the reasons why I am looking at these books, and why I'm looking at writing. Now, I was really happy. That was the other thing. I was really happy with the way the books are progressing. I ran into a little bit of a hiccup with the story side of it. But I just started writing a chapter that is essentially writing itself, and it's on chapter 8. So it's about, roughly speaking, about a quarter of the way through the actual story and through the actual book. And I've got a phone ringing, which I'm totally ignoring. Okay, now the nice part about this is, and I mentioned this the other day, I've got an Italian publisher that is in contact with me now, looking at possibly translating the books and translating the Yldrbacian Chronicles. To me, this is very important. Okay, it's a landmark I was not banking on. I figured, no problem. I'm going to open the door up. I'm going to get the story written, and I'll self-publish, which is the way I've been doing most of it. Okay, now I have to go through and figure out how much money I've actually sunk into it. It was funny. I was told by one person in particular, "Are you sure you're doing what the best thing you can. Is this actually a paying idea? In all fairness, at this point, I don't know. Am I sure? Am I sure that this is what I'm going to be doing? Absolutely. I will push through and get all 12 of the books in the saga written. That is a commitment to me, and I'm doing it for me. Okay, the reports I've gotten back, that I've received, are putting the book in reasonably decent light. Okay, this is for me. Now, I was aiming at the books. Okay, I now have this other neat little situation where I'm also looking at they're looking at talking to me. My publisher down with Author House is looking at talking to me about potential movie issues. Okay, now this is way ahead of the game. I won't be able to look at movies until next year. Okay, until after I get the final trilogy out. Or not the final trilogy, but the final book on the trilogy. But, you think about it. At 15, I wrote a storyline. At 58, I've got 2 of the books out. I've now got a publisher in a foreign country looking at translating it. I've got another publisher looking at turning it into a movie, or at least setting it up that way. In the meantime, I'm teaching myself how to market. Now, the third thing that's on the go that I'm really content with, and I'm about to dig out of mothballs, is I designed a healing center. One that is actually a healing center, i.e., it will target education, health, it'll target the metaphysical tools, different ways of enhancing your own abilities. In my case, I'm a writer. Okay, on top of being an active psychic and in my eyes, I'm a spiritual guide, which is why the tools I offer are exactly the tools that I personally use to this day. They're also the philosophies I live by. Okay, now I had an interesting situation just a couple of days ago. Somebody asked me if I was interested in a subject, and I looked at the person. I went, well, the subject is interesting, but let's be clear. I don't have time to practice a whole pile of different paths of doing things. The path I'm on, I'm quite content with. I will listen to people. I will talk to them about their views. But am I going to convert to another religion? Not a snowball's prayer. It's been tried multiple times. It's never worked. Okay. I also am very clear about this, and people don't seem to pay attention to it, or at least some people don't. I do not pay for somebody else to teach me a ritual from a different religion. Okay, at all. And I don't donate to major charities. And there's a reason I don't. Don't get me wrong. I support the concepts of charities. But, in my opinion, so much is lost in the overhead in charities that if you're giving $1 to a charity, this is a good thing. Until you realize that only 1 cent of that dollar actually goes to the charity. Or maybe the best one I heard was 30 cents on the dollar. So when I'm dealing with charity, I deal with the people I run into. Yes, it limits my ability to reach out to the globe and to the world. However, I am putting the money aside now, and frankly, I will be looking at putting the money aside in one lump sum. My income tax just came back, but I've got more money coming in. And I will be building that up to be able to deal with that for the fall, for the winter, the Christmas. And I just use Christmas because it's a globally recognized, not necessarily globally celebrated, but it's globally recognized as a special time of year for that purpose. Now, I will be working throughout the year towards that end with other people. Okay, but the thing is, when I'm donating to a charity, I'm not looking for tax breaks. I'm not looking for a break at all. It's just this is money that I've got that is surplus, and therefore, yes, I can hold on to it. But karmic law dictates, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay, now from my standpoint, boils down to this. If I'm going to tell you that helping the poor helping the working poor is a necessary thing, then it is only right that I lead by example, not that I just sit here and tell you about it. Okay, so what I do is I put money aside, and when I've got the time, and I will be keeping track of it because I'll put money aside to deal with Christmas as I will. But during the course of the rest of the year, I'm still going to be doing things. Now one of the other things that I'm quite content with, and I've got to get back to doing a lot of it. I put a lot of things aside because, well, trying to get organized and what have you. And rest assured, if you're a procrastinator, getting organized can be a bit of a problem. But with my health climbing, with my health improving, my finances improving, my fluidity of writing improving, it's time to get the energy in the house running properly. Now, my office is it's a little cluttered right now, but I've been at it since 2 o'clock this morning. So it's no wonder my office is a little cluttered right now. Okay, so as soon as I'm done this video, I will tidy the office up again. And I will get back to doing such neat little things, like I'm going to, because I'm gaming today as well. Okay, I will be taking some of my characters out front to actually paint. Okay, and I can think of one right off the bat that I'm going to be dealing with. Because it's time to get those tied off as well. And these are just things that I do to keep myself busy. To keep my mind active. Something else that I did come across was an interesting situation. Apparently, learning a new language, learning a new skill as you get older, helps deal with the onset of things like Alzheimer's or senility or anything else like that. And the reason for that is because it gets the brain itself working, gives it something new and exciting to run with. Okay, so I've got all these projects on the go. But the fact that this is the 1 year anniversary, these are all things that I've been dealing with over the course of the year. I've gone through some annoying health concerns. Fortunately, none of them serious. Okay, the worst one I had was a toothache a couple of months back. Okay, but am I dealing with things? Absolutely. Right now, health-wise, my biggest concern, oddly enough, is literally muscle cramps. Now, at 58 years old, apparently this is normal, but there's got to be something that is normal, that is grown by nature. Okay, that can bypass those. Because I'll tell you, last night was great, but the night before I woke up 4 times, drawn out of a dead sleep, because of muscle cramps in my calves. Okay, it is imperative that as we carry on with life, regardless of your age, pay attention to your health. Pay attention to what's working for you and what isn't. Absolutely see a professional, a so-called professional, a trained individual, because when you're having questions around your health, because the odds are they know more than you do. Lord knows if they spend any time in school, they should know more than you do. But this does not mean they are gods. This means they've got better information. But still double check. Be sure you're aware of what's going on, and especially where medication is concerned. If you're on more than one type of medication, regardless of what it is, do not stop it without getting things organized. If you're under doctor's care, if you will, and they've got you on a medication, even if the medication feels a little off. Okay, first step, in my opinion, if something feels a little off with a medication, go and talk to a pharmacist, the one that you trust, and find out what the cross current is on the different medications you're on. If there is a cross current, go immediately and set an appointment up with your own doctor and get the prescription modified. Do not modify it yourself. Now, this is one of those few times when I will tell you this is what you should follow, and it is absolutely the last thing I do. Okay, this is a bad rule. when you're on medication and you don't feel it's working quite right, do not get off it unless you got the doctor's go ahead. Okay, I don't play by the same rules. That is one of the few that I will tell you right off. I won't go to a doctor to find out about medication. I knew it was wrong. I cut the medication I was on off, modified my health, modified my energy levels, and turned around and got myself sorted around. But this is a method that is very detrimental and can kill. Do not follow that path. I mean, in my case, I've already been dead 10, 11 times. 4 of them clinically before I was 10, and 5 or 6 since. Okay. Not to mention a rather nasty stroke. Yeah, and it's been annoying. I'm finally actually figuring out what I did wrong. But rest assured, everything I'm talking about that I'm pulling off, okay, that I'm doing, everything I'm doing, you can do. Okay, and I mentioned this issue of taking your hands where it comes to the energy. For those of you that are empathic and getting really stressed out, especially with this current war going on. Okay, when you're getting really stressed out, take whichever hand you choose, doesn't matter which. Put it palm down on something that normally sits on the floor. This is a heavy chair like a recliner, a couch, a heavy dining room table, something that is not easily picked up. Even putting your hand on the floor itself or on the wall. Okay, these are all very appropriate places. Once you have physical contact, you've got your hand on the wall. Okay, visualize the excess energy coming out of your body, much like water coming out of a faucet. Okay, feel it dissipate into the object. Because if it's a heavy object sitting on the ground, it will draw straight into the ground. Whatever you do, do not utilize this trick with a baseball bat or anything that is easy to pick up. Because there have been many proven cases where that negative energy has been passed on. Okay, now you can do the same thing, and this is the neat part. You can do the same thing with crystals. Okay, as in you can charge them to do what they are designed for. Crystals they're a group of objects that literally can help power your house. But not from an electrical standpoint. Sorry, you're going to have to deal with the electrical bills. Okay, but crystals can be set up in such a way to actually turn around and supercharge your house with energy. Now, I am currently in the process of designing essentially a centerpiece. Okay, and once I get it sorted around, it's going to take me a while because I'm looking for very specific pieces of crystal to do it. But see, I saw a computer a long time ago built with crystals. Okay, and the trick to it is going to be finding the piece that I desire. Of course, it's going to take me a little bit of time to piece it together, but I know who to talk to. So, where do we go from here? Okay, what are we up to? Like, where does the journey go from here? Well, I will be keeping people posted on the same paths I'm on, the same paths and what have you we've been working with. I am going to get much more organized this year. This is a commitment to me. Okay, and I will have a plan sorted out for starting with tomorrow to get videos done on specific topics. I would absolutely love to hear your comments in the comment section below. If you desire to get in touch with me directly and don't desire the rest of the world to know what you're asking, there's a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me down below as well. And a whole list of ways of a whole list of books that I've already written that can be acquired directly through me. With this in mind, we're hitting the half-hour mark, so I'm going to bid you adieu, farewell, whatever you call it. I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.